Okay, welcome everybody to this evening's XAUUSD webinar for Trading Live Market Analysis. My name is Duncan Cooper. So tonight's webinar is live market analysis, but just to give you a heads up what's coming up this week. Tomorrow I'll be going through the average true range and session opening times. That will be at 7 p.m. Sydney time tomorrow evening. On Thursday, I'll be going through more live forex market review, 7 p.m. And as well, we also have what we call our quick start webinar. So if you're new to trading and you need a strategy to get going in the market real quickly, whether that's just starting in a demo account, we have a quick start strategy that we will take you through. Myself and Nathan will be taking that. I'll be talking about trend, and then Nathan will be taking you through the actual strategy and how it's all pulled together. We're looking, really the strategy is trading in line with the day chart trend, executing off the 1 hour chart, but we have it all formulated onto one time frame. So you can assess the trend across both time frames on one time frame, gives you specific entry levels to get in and specific stop loss levels, and then you can come up with your targets as well. So that will be at 8 p.m. You can just go over to the webinar page to register for any of those webinars. All right, for tonight, if you can just read through the risk disclaimer before we get going. Any questions to the chat box or the question and answer box. If you're on our YouTube live stream, I cannot see the chat, but you're more than welcome to join us in the webinar. I've given you the link there. So please, everybody, if you can just read through the disclaimer. If you're new to the webinars, I can see some names there that don't look familiar, so welcome. So everybody, please read through the disclaimer. All right, we'll move along. So if you don't know me, then my name is Duncan Cooper. I'm a senior market strategist and trading mentor here at East West Securities. And I'm a full-time forex trader. I've been trading the forex market now for more than 15 years, mentoring for more than 10. If you want to contact me, my email is there on screen, duncan.cooper@acy.com. Through the week, you can follow me on our website. Go to acy.com, go to the market news tab. Our YouTube channel, ACY Australia. So you'll find my analysis on both of those websites. My Twitter and LinkedIn handles are there. You'll get my analysis on those handles too. And through the week, our analysis is always found in our Telegram channel. So if you'd like to get access to that, then contact Nathan Bray to get access to that. If you want to get access to my chart layouts and templates too, then contact Nathan. He will hook you up. I'll put his details in the chat now. If you need help with setting up a demo account, or maybe you're interested in setting up a live account, just contact Nathan. He'll be more than happy to have a chat with you. So his details are there in the chat. All right, let's get into what's happening in the market. So first up, we will look at the news that's coming out. So today at 10:30 p.m. Canada, we've got CPI data. So trying to trade a Canadian cross ahead of that's going to be difficult. It's going to be very volatile when that gets released. And then we also have the US core retail sales coming out at 10:30. And on the New Zealand front, tomorrow morning, 8:45, we've got their CPI data QQ. And we've also got the UK pound CPI data at 4 p.m. tomorrow. So over the next 24 hours or so, those are the key ones. And of course, getting to Thursday there in the morning for the Aussie, we've got their unemployment rate and employment change. And in the evening on Thursday for the US unemployment claim. So not too much data, but inflation figures there for Canada, New Zealand, UK. Be very volatile, I'm sure, on the pound there tomorrow afternoon. So be aware of these major items coming out for some of these crosses. All right, with those things in mind, let's get into charts. Hazu, hello there. So let's we'll get into the dollar index first. Now, of course, if you've been watching the market over the last week, this is the monthly chart. We've moved through support. We're definitely in a downtrend here on the monthly chart here. And we're only kind of halfway into the month. We've already had a longer month down than we had last month. The weekly trend is quite clear down here. So the trading bias is quite clearly versus the US dollar, it's negative, okay? And there's your daily chart. Now we might see some pullback towards support or broken support to be resistance, and 100.70 to 182, okay, is the level of resistance. So we might see some rallying maybe over a few days. We've had a very long week down last week. We might need a little bit of a pullback before a further move down. So bear that in mind. At the moment, I'm not really looking to trade on a given pair. If a pair hasn't pulled back yet, I'm not really interested in trading it long versus a US dollar because they're just too overextended in the short term. So anticipate we will need a little bit of a rally on the dollar index there. Of course, it can do whatever it wants. The market's always right, but I would much prefer to see a rally before looking to engage. S&P 500. This is my weekly chart here. I've just been looking at the overall major range. Could really show that on the monthly chart. Monthly trend is up, but we're coming up to a 79% level of the major drop that we've had. But that monthly trend has turned to up. Next significant weekly resistance level is at 46.37 on the S&P 500. And the day chart is quite clearly up, and it just keeps having pullbacks and then continuing on. So I'll be watching, looking. If you want to get long this pair, can it hold its uptrend and have another 62% pullback, 79% pullback before the next advance? That's more than overextended. It's actually, had the fib drawn this way before. 62% pullback. We're up almost at the 162 extension, so it's way overextended. It's in the profit-taking area at the moment, so it needs a pullback. That's not where you want to be buying at the top of the move. Start to monitor a pullback. Can it pull back to the 62 or the 79% of the current day chart trend swings? Okay, and then does it start to hold in that area for the next move up? All right, so we're seeing dollar index moving down. Dollars moving down, indices moving up there. All right, let's just get into, we might go to, I'll go to the couple of pairs that I put out on Telegram today, first of all. So we'll start with the dollar yen. And it's not holding at my first level that I put out today, which was the 79% level of yesterday's range. And it hasn't got down to my second level. So I'm just looking at the dollar yen, even though it's in the downtrend on the day chart, it's in an uptrend on the weekly chart, and it's at weekly support. So I'm just monitoring to see whether we can start to get a reversal. And as well on the monthly chart here, higher bottom, higher top, higher bottom. We don't have a lower top yet. Now, if we get a lower top, I might change my thought process, but at the moment we don't have that. And on the weekly chart here, this area of support, higher bottom, higher top, pulling back to support. So at the moment, this week, whilst we traded a little bit below 137.90, that weekly top, we're not trading below it this week at the moment. All right, so this could be where we put in a further higher bottom on the weekly chart here to move back up. In any event, to the day chart, this is way overextended. 2 positive days from weekly support. So a bit trapped between weekly support, 137.90 from over here. There is day support here at 137.76, and then trapped between day resistance at 138.75. I'm just looking at more of the fact that this weekly trend is quite clearly up. We pull back to weekly support. Is that where we're going to hold? Now, your 4-hour chart is actually in an uptrend here. I'm looking at this range, yesterday's trading range. We're almost back to the 79% level. We dipped below it, came down pretty much to this 4-hour area here, 138.09. Just there. I could put that in there, getting a little bit of support across there. 138.094. So support's just coming in ahead of 138. We traded down to 138 yesterday. All right, that was yesterday's low, 138. And I've been monitoring two levels. This pivot in the 79% level, it is starting to hold there a little bit, but I haven't had a trigger to buy yet. And my next level I'm watching is down at the figure and weekly support. We haven't got down to that level either. So we could see a trend line break to the upside here. Do we start to see a nice move up here? Do we put a higher bottom in on the 50-minute chart? We haven't been seeing that yet on today's trading. So I'm just looking to see if I can see price start to reverse. And in my mind, does it look strong enough for me to start to engage? So at the moment, yes, we're maybe starting to get a bit of a trend line break there, but it'd be nice to see a higher bottom form on the 50-minute chart too. Just to maybe start to confirm that we're getting support down here, and can we move back up the range? All right, now the other pair that I've been watching is the USD. And if we're getting US dollar strength coming back in, one of these trades can't work, because if US dollar strength comes back in, dollar yen will move up, and then potentially the Aussie dollar will move down. So one of these won't work. So you just have to look for your setup and see what happens. So it all depends. Well, potentially both could move up, but theoretically, generally, if the dollar yen's moving up, the Aussie dollar's moving down, and vice versa. So on the day chart here of the Aussie, I've been watching this area of weekly support. Now that we've moved above it, weekly support is from 68.18 down to 68.05, and we're trading at 68.05.06 here at the moment. Can we hold here to move back up to challenge last week's high? Now, last time we moved above this area, we fell back below and it became resistance. Now, that is potentially on the cards here as well. If we fall below, I said that this morning, if we fall below 6,800, convincingly watch 6,800 to 05 to be resistance. That's what happened here last time. But this time, can it be support? All right. Now, I've been watching this little range here. I had to adjust my fib because we actually went up earlier in the day. And then on the 15-minute chart, I am watching to see if we get long-term support here at 68.05 down to 6,800. Now, I might have to wait now for the US news to pass before thinking about doing something. We were holding here yesterday. We just nipped below, came back above, and you can see here that not able to commit below that level. Yes, touching it right now, but do we see a change in trend line break, for example? It's quite acute that, but do we break above a swing point here at 68.17 to move higher? All right, so I'm just going to monitor that after the US dollar news coming out later in the day now. At the moment, it's looking at a fraction weak. Euro dollar's been moving down a little bit. My other screen, I've got my dollar yen on my other screen. I can see that's just starting to pop up above the 136.30 level, the 79% fib. So which one will win out? Will this one hold and move up? Or is the dollar yen going to hold and move up? All right. All right, we'll just jump in the Aussie yen and see what that's doing. It's been moving down for the day. Now to the day chart. In fact, we're going to go to the weekly chart. The weekly chart here is actually in an uptrend, even though we've been pulling back for 3 or 4 weeks. Moved up to a higher top, and we've pulled back to weekly support. So not too dissimilar to what we see on the dollar yen, but this pullback to support, I think, before the dollar yen. And the day chart has been holding at resistance. I said on the weekend, will 95.15 hold? It has held for 2 days, but I'd much prefer, if I was trading this pair at the moment, to be able to trade down from resistance or up from support. This is in the middle of the area. All right, and with this being in an uptrend on the weekly, and the Aussie dollar's been moving up quite nicely, and the dollar yen may be turning up, this could turn up from a higher bottom. So I'm not wanting to engage to the short side in the middle of that range. I would much prefer to see what the candle does today. Do we finish with a positive candle today and maybe have a day up tomorrow to form a higher bottom? Or I would like to see what it will do if price comes down to the support down here. Okay. Day support 93.20, 93.03 is weekly support. All right, so I'm just monitoring. Now, what you could also monitor, because I don't know if what really is happening here is that we had a very solid reversal from support here to there. See how today we're holding at the 62 level of that range. Yesterday and into today, we could be seeing 62% support there for a higher bottom to fall. All right, so just monitor to see what's happening in this area. If we get a reversal today, we may be looking for opportunities to trade to the upside tomorrow. I mean, you can be aggressive today and look for a reversal up. Clearly, yesterday we couldn't trade down to 94. If we step down to 94 today and it holds, then maybe there's an opportunity to get long. I'm not looking to short in the middle of this range. I've got a little bit more of a positive bias to trade to the upside. I'm not seeing a trigger yet to trade to the upside, but if I saw a trigger, if we step down below 94 into 94 and then started to reverse today, that might, in lining up with that 62% level at 94.03, then that might catch my interest later in the day. All right, so I'd like to see it hit that level first, and then what does it do? Can it reverse back up? All right, let's get into the euro pairs. We'll start with the euro dollar first of all, two-day chart. These levels I got on here are all from the high time frame. High time frames, I should say. And there's a monthly level that we're at the moment. The monthly level, if you go to your monthly chart and go left, there's a high in here. All right, it's at 39 from memory. These two lines are overlapping. 123.39 is that level. Then to the left, we've got weekly resistance. A level of weekly resistance broken above last week at 11.85, and a monthly level broken above last week at 110.95. So those are the key levels to watch. Quite clearly in an uptrend. Maybe yesterday it was starting to signal it was going to maybe have a 1 or 2 days down, but it's still very buoyant. All right, it's just holding at that monthly level right now, 112.39. Now, as a trader in a perfect world, what I would like to see is a healthy pullback. It's very overextended. In a clear uptrend, I'm not really fussed about shorting this, but what I would like to see is this to pull back to support. It would just be perfect if we could get a nice decline back down to day support there. It's daily, weekly, and monthly support there. The clear level that we've broken above should be support when we pull back. All right, now, that is a good 245 pips away. So that's going to take some patience to wait for that level. Now, as I drop down the levels, any one of the levels that we've moved above, and I would like to see a deeper pullback. So 1185 is a weekly level that we've broken above. We've been trying to get some support through here over the last couple of days at 112, but I would just be watching for a healthy pullback and then start to watch the 1185. Does that hold? If that level can't hold, are we watching the lower level? I would much prefer the lower level. Now, price might not want to pull back to a lower level. I always get cautious when we've had such a large move up because I don't want to get caught at the top. But I can see on the 4-hour chart, it is holding to an uptrend still. So if you wanted to engage at such high levels, there's the 4-hour range. Drop to the 15-minute chart. You can see today we've already just spiked down to the central pivot point in the 62 level. And in a good strong trend, we often do not move much past the central pivot point. So we could have put the low in for the day there. You can watch that area for another visit and hold and see whether that holds if you're prepared to be a buyer at such a high level. I'm going to be waiting for a pullback, a deeper pullback if that can come. So I'm just being a little bit patient at the moment with some of these pairs very overextended. And maybe they won't pull back, and I'll just have to wait for a level that I'm happy to trade at. Some of these levels for me at the moment are a little bit too high up. All right, Euro yen. Now look at the weekly trend. It is up. This is a day level support. Weekly support though is down here at 151.61. So we're not being able to pull back to a significant level of support. We formed this day support last week. This isn't a clear uptrend there on your weekly, and it's in a clear uptrend on the monthly. It's broken above this area here. Now on the daily, it is in a downtrend. And price could move either way. That's why when I say either way, I then would much prefer to be trading down from resistance or up from support, because the weekly trend is up and the day chart trend is down. We're holding here at 62. Are we holding there to trade down to test day support and move down to weekly support? Now, in a perfect world, if you're prepared to be patient, I would look for 151.61 to be the next very good buying level for the euro yen, in terms of getting maybe in where the next weekly higher bottom could form, a weekly support for the next move up. All right. But that's going to take some patience to do that, and you might not want to be patient. So at the moment, you could be watching to see what the 4-hour trend is doing. Is it still continuing its move down in line with that day chart? I'm a little bit concerned that might be a significant bottom after a very strong move up. So the 4-hour at the moment, it's a little bit mixed, higher bottom, lower top. When I say price action like that, I would much prefer to see clear price action. I would much prefer, once they get short with the day chart trend, I would much prefer to see that turn into a day downtrend first of all, and then look for a 4-hour rally to 62.79%, and then if I've got price action like so, where I've got lower top, lower bottom, coming back up for a rally, I know the 4-hour trend's in line with the day chart trend, which is down. At the moment, I have a mix of trends. The weekly trend is up, the day trend is down, the 4-hour's mixed. All right, so if the 4-hour was down, I could entertain selling a rally. If the 4-hour trend was up, I could entertain buying a dip in line with the weekly trend. At the moment, it's all a little bit, which way will it go? And if I see something and it's mixed, I just have to wait for a further clarification. So I'd be waiting for that kind of pattern formation at the moment. But if we flip back up to an uptrend, I'll have to look for a dip on the 4-hour chart. So I'll just have to keep watching. Euro pound, it is rather choppy, but you go to your weekly chart, there's lots of support over here on the left, and we close back above weekly support 85.65. Last week, we could be moving up towards weekly resistance at 86.58 and up towards daily resistance here, 86.36. Day chart trends turned up. So the level that we closed above last week was this 85.65 level. At the moment, I would just be watching to see if we can pull back to that level and hold a support first of all. So moving to the 4-hour chart, draw a fib in, and there's a little bit of I would go from that low up to that high, even though there's a bottom in there. And then the 85.65 level, weekly support, very close to the 62 level there. So there's a bit of an overlap area here, weekly support, 62 level. So I'd watch 85.65 down 85.62. Can we pull back, hold? Can you see you set up to buy after you get a pullback there? You can see we've had a move up, pull back. We're now in the profit-taking area of that move. Can it pull back to the 62 with weekly support for then the next move up there? All right, that's the euro crosses. Getting into the pound yen. All these yen pairs are a little bit, have they put in a significant support low, or are they putting in significant resistance high to move down, up or down? And they're all sitting in between their support and resistance at the moment. The one positive thing to this pair is there is a level of support that we're seemingly wanting to hold above, and that's monthly support. Go to your monthly chart. It's this low area here that was 180.41. We're holding above that level. Weekly trend is up. 2 negative weeks. But last week we dipped below and then moved back above 180.41 monthly support. So this week I will be watching 181.41 for support. You can see on Friday's trading, see how it got support from it, a little bit below it, went up. Yesterday we couldn't get down to that level, so it's being watched. Could we trade down to that level today? For our chart, I'm just going to use that whole move up from Friday's move. 62 levels at 180.54, monthly supports at 180.41, so that would be a very nice area to watch for support. What happens if price gets down into that area? Can you see a reversal and you set up to buy? All right. Of course, we've got the CPI data coming out tomorrow. If the CPI data comes out with a very high number, pound dollar pound yen is going to fly north. All right. So you have to work out yourself whether you want to be in these pairs when that dangerous item comes out tomorrow. It's not the best idea, but you're all responsible for your own decision-making processes. I mean, getting in, if we can dip down here and reverses, by tomorrow at 4 o'clock, price could be all the way up to 182.12. You could be managing your trade to a break-even perspective and then seeing what's going to happen when the news comes out. So just have a look at the 15-minute. All right, so what's the area down there? Yesterday's low, 62% level, and 180.41 monthly support. Okay. Pound dollar, 2-day chart. Now we need to go to the higher time frames for your reference levels. That's actually monthly, I think, resistance. That's the monthly chart. There's the monthly low, 131.68. Monthly trend is up. Your weekly trend is up here. We moved above weekly resistance here at 130. And for a good month, I think I've been saying we were targeting 130 and we hit it and moved above it. So 131.68 is the next level to watch out for failure to the upside at the moment. And it would be great, from a pullbacks perspective now, this pair has been working great in terms of pulling back to support and then moving off and up. Over the last, I'm just going to highlight 2 examples. This pullback here was back to this weekly support. All right, that was one opportunity you could have traded. Okay. Last Monday, that was Friday, into Monday, we pulled back to daily support, just there. That was your next opportunity to trade. Then we traded above this area here. All right. I don't know if we can get to that, down to that area now this week. It's a long way away with this very strong trend, but we've moved above 130 now. So I'll be watching for a pullback to 130. What happens there? Does it offer support to continue the move up? All right. But those are the 2 levels to watch, 130 and then 128.48 if we don't hold at 130. And it's just a little bit choppy in here at the moment. It's probably not going to go too far with the CPI data coming out tomorrow. But certainly 130 is the level to watch. It was a little bit of small consolidation, break north. There's a little bit of an imbalance in the area here that needs to be filled. So I will just be watching 130 at the moment. Can it pull back to that level? Now, of course, if the data comes out from the UK really negative, you could be monitoring the range of last week. It's not out of the stretch imagination that we couldn't get down to 128.48 over. That's with a 79% fib of last week's range. So it's not out of the realms of possibility, but it is a long way away. So it's worth just planning ahead. There's also this 4-hour support in the 62 level. at 128.99. So pretty much 129. That could be support as well. Depending on what the market wants to do this week, these are the levels to watch. At the moment, it's too high up for me to do anything. I need a pullback. All right. If you're prepared to engage up here, good on you. But I'm prepared to miss out and wait for a pullback. All right. A pullback will definitely come. It's better to be a buyer on a pullback than get caught at the top of the move. Now, if you want to look at engaging at the moment, I mean, there may be an engagement to the short side if you can get a tight entry, because yesterday it's really struggled to move above 131. You can see here today it's struggling at 131. All right, but I know the trend is most definitely up, so I'm not that fussed about entertaining the short side. I'm just telling you what I'm seeing in terms of intraday price action at the moment. It is struggling at 131. Okay, but much preferred to look for a move down to 130. And then can that hold for support for the long-term move up? Okay. New Zealand yen. Now, I was looking this morning at the potential of 87.59 holding, but it clearly hasn't because the New Zealand dollar's been moving down. So this is a lower top, lower bottom scenario here at the moment. But surprisingly, even though this is bearish on the daily, when you look at the close of last week, look at the candle of last week. Okay, it's a big rejection candle. Closed back above the monthly high over here at 88.16. So we're just trading down within the rejection of last week. I don't know if we will actually trade below last week's low. I'd be more inclined just to monitor to see how far we can get down inside last week's range, and it could then pop up within last week's range, because that was a positive candle of last week. So we could be coming down here to put in a higher bottom. We could be coming down to this area here. It's worth watching. 86.852. So as I was saying, the weekly candle was positive last week. 86.562, I think I said. No. 86.852. Right, move down your 4-hour chart, so we could be coming down to here. What I'd like to do, if you're into this webinar, I like to monitor the range of the weekly candle. We had a positive week last week, so we're trading down inside the rejection. 79% levels at 86.68. Day supports at 86.85. That's the area to watch for potential support this week. Now that we've moved through the higher levels of support, all right, we're going to find support down there. Now, I could be totally wrong, but the weekly trend is up. The weekly rejection candle formed last week closed above the monthly level of resistance. So are we just dipping down to find the buyers? That's what I'm thinking about here. All right, so you can monitor that on the 50-minute chart. Clearly today at the moment, we're selling off and down. And you don't, we are trading down. You don't need to be looking to buy today. But what happens today down here, and where do we finish by the end of the day? Do we put in some form of rejection candle today? That would maybe suggest that we're going to move up tomorrow, and then you can look for an entry tomorrow. But we did have a significant weekly rejection. So closing above monthly high at 88.16 on Friday. So that's making me cautious about holding a sell for the long term at the moment on this pair. All right, so you can monitor that area. That's back to the day chart at the moment. All right, New Zealand dollar, I'm sure this is declining because that New Zealand yen is declining, and we're moving below day support at the moment. So that's what's getting that New Zealand yen moving down to your day chart. Be monitoring this level. 63.05, could it hold? It did hold yesterday, but clearly we're moving down. Next level of support within this uptrend is at 62.47. Now, by the end of the day, we're only 10, 15 pips below the level of support. Even through the day, we could simply be back above 63.05. All right, there's just a bit of selling pressure coming in at the moment. There is the question though, I'm sure it's on the mind of some of you, to your weekly chart. This strong weekly area of resistance here, 63.79 up to 63.84. We have moved to a higher top, but is this a false break? You know, we had a false break up here and then declined all the way down. So there's the possibility this has been a complete false move up. But that move up is most definitely in line with the US dollar sell-off that we're seeing. So I'm a little bit reluctant to get too bearish. I would, by the end of the day, like to see this back above 63.05. All right, but two levels I'm watching, 63.05, 62.47. We could also be monitoring last week's range as we monitor a pullback. And in fact, last week's range is a little bit shorter than that. That's the day chart range. Last week's range from last week's candle is there. I much prefer actually the day chart range there, because I can see that if we do get a pullback to 62.47, the 62 levels at 62.38 here. So that would be a very obvious area for this to pull back to this week and find support as well. See, the first level, 63.05, only lines up with the 38% level, which will only offer support in a very strong trend. And it has been a strong trend, but maybe, you know, it's not strong enough to hold it at that level. So I'm just watching at the moment to see what the day brings. Do we get a positive close today, or are we actually moving down to the second level of support, 62.47, which is the day chart swing range, day chart low to high. You know, we're going to see a 62% retracement, hold on day support, and then to move back up. All right, I'm not interested in shorting anything at the moment that's going against the trend versus US dollar. All right, except I have discussed the dollar yen, but that's because the weekly trend is quite clearly up, and the interest rate differential on the dollar yen is quite clearly in line with the dollar and not the yen. Okay, even though inflation in the US is declining, and the idea that interest rates could go up in the US are probably diminishing. We're not seeing any yet idea that they're going to cut interest rates. And even if they do start cutting, they're going to be higher than the yen side. So there's still the possibility of dollar yen strength with the carry trade. Okay. All right. So a lot of these pairs, as you can see at the moment, I'm just monitoring for the perfect level to see whether the price can start to hold and present a setup on a lower time frame. Dollar Canadian, as I discussed before, we've got CPI data coming out. Now, the major level to watch is this level, 132.62. That's the monthly low that has been prominent in this trading area here. It was resistance. We got back above for a while, sat on top of it for a while last week, and then we dropped. And we've actually got two levels. That is monthly support, 132.62, and weekly support, 132.23. So it's an area now of resistance. We broke below those two levels last week. With support here, we then broke clearly down. You can see over the last two trading days, we can only trade a couple of pips above the weekly level. We do have the CPI data coming out, so it'd be worth watching to see if this spikes up to monthly resistance. That's going to line up with, I'm sure, a 62 level from that range, very close to 132.74. So 132.62 to 74 would be a great area to watch. So let me just color that area in. We can review this. Well, you can watch it anyway when the news comes out. You can review that area. 132.62 to 132.83. What happens in that area if we do spike up? You can see the resistance that we've been forming here as well. Tops to the left in that area too. It's a very known area of resistance for the market. All right, so what happens after the CPI data comes out at 10:30? Do we rush up into that area? Do you start to see it hold do you see your reversal set up to trade down? All right, dollar franc's been heavily selling off. You go to your monthly chart, it's broken below the last 2 monthly levels. There's a weekly level in here that we're just contending with. All right. Very weak at the moment. Monthly trend's down, the weekly trend is down. Holding on weekly support for the moment. The very obvious setup to look for at the moment is a pullback to broken support, become resistance. And let price pull back to broken supports. Does it offer resistance? Can you see a setup trade down? We broke below 2 monthly levels. They are 86.99 and 87.57. So at the moment, I've just been monitoring. Can we get up to the first level? Not looking to trade up to the level. I'm just watching to see if we can come up to a level, hold. Can you see a setup then to trade down from the level? First level is 86.99. Okay, pretty much the 87 level. So can we get up to that level? Not interested in trading at such low levels. Okay, can you get up to a known level of broken support? All right, not able to move through last week's low at the moment. Holding at that weekly level from back in time, back in squashing, something like 2011 over here. So a lot of these pairs at the moment are very much overextended. Don't have the fear of missing out. We'll just let them pull back. Okay. All right, we covered the dollar yen. That is, it's not moving down through the 4-hour support area over here. It's asking itself at the moment, is it forming some form of higher bottom here to move up? What's my Aussie dollar doing? Is that moving down? Still holding on support. All right. All right, let's have a look at gold. Azure, I see your request there for CAD yen. Now, gold is putting in a higher bottom here. Had a very shallow 2-day sell-off. Just been holding at weekly resistance. And it looks like to me that we may be getting a breakout. There's all these highs to the left that it needs to negotiate to break strongly higher. But on the weekly chart, it is asking the question, are we moving back above here? As I discussed last week, we may just be seeing of that range, 62% retracements, to come up much higher. On the other side of the fence, we have that triple top area that could be also dominating and move down if we get back up into high areas. But at the moment, looks like the buyers are in control from the 62% retracement there on the weekly range. And the market's asking itself, can we move above weekly resistance? This may be a high bottom forming here. It's not in the best area to be a buyer though, when you've got all these tops to the left. But in any event, just from a technical perspective, it's forming a higher bottom. This is suggestive that we're moving higher. All right. It's just, it has traded above last week's high. You know, from a trend perspective on this 4-hour chart, it would be more prudent to look for maybe a pullback to the 79% level. This could offer a little bit of a left shoulder inverse head scenario. If we could pull back to that area there, that would be the ideal spot to look for a trade in line with that uptrend, rather than trading at the top into all these 4-hour resistance tops to the left here. That's not where you want to be buying. All right. Buying at some form of support. Here's 4-hour support, inverse head and shoulder pattern maybe down there for a move higher. Okay, that would be the better area to watch. I'm getting asked, can I trade down the euro dollar? What entry method do I use? Well, you're going to be bucking the trend, trading short. So, for me personally, I've got no bias to trade to the short side on the euro dollar. It's too much of a strong uptrend. Okay. I mean, at the moment, the day chart trend is up. The 4-hour trend here is up. It's just pulling back against the 4-hour retracement here. 4-hour upward move, you're getting a 4-hour retracement here. I'm not seeing any reason to be a seller there. All right, it's actually sitting on top of broken monthly resistance here at 112.39. I'm not seeing a reason to sell. All right, so when you ask me what method do you use, well, I need a reason to sell first. I don't see, I don't see a reason to sell. What's your reason to sell? That will be the first question back at you. And then if you give me a reason, then we might look for a method to get in. So I think the first reason to sell, if we go back to the 4-hour chart here at the moment, is to see this 4-hour structure turn to down. And I'm not seeing that. So unless I can see a 4-hour structure which is down, I wouldn't even contemplate selling that at the moment. I would only look for an opportunity to buy. And as I said, I'm not, when I'm saying I'm looking for a pullback, maybe to say 111.85 to be support, and then look for an opportunity to buy, I'm looking to trade with the trends. But, I'm not really looking to buy at such high level. I need to see just a little bit of a healthy pullback. It doesn't mean to say that I'm interested in selling the pullback, because the pullback could be very short-lived and it may not pull back to the level I'm watching. All right, because this is still holding a very strong trend. So I really would caution being a seller against this strong trend at the moment. So I'm not seeing a reason there to sell. I can see more reasons to buy there. It's getting support at the central pivot point, 62% retracement of the 4-hour range. It's starting now to hold and deal above the monthly level of resistance at 112.39. All right. Hopefully that answered your question. I know you want to go short, but I don't think there's a reason to go short there. All right, you want me to look at the Canadian yen, so I'll bring that up. I think it was the CAD yen you said, CAD yen. All right, there's a level of resistance that obviously we can't hold at, and there's one over there too. So I'll just put the exact numbers, 106.50. Now the monthly trend here is down. You can see it's moved to a lower bottom. Through that bottom, is this putting in a final rally lower top? Could monitor where we are on the 79% level. We've moved below it. To your weekly chart. Now the weekly trend is up, but it will be up when we're coming up to such high levels on a monthly rally. So I don't know what you're trying to do, but a long or short, or you're looking for a long or a short. Day trend is still up. So the weekly trend is up and the day trend is up. But for me, the critical thing to consider is what you see on the monthly chart here. It's not holding above this top. It's failing at a 79% level. On the weekly charts, there's more highs to the left here that we're failing at. And whilst that weekly trend is up and the day trend is up, if we are failing up here because of where we're failing on the monthly perspective, it's a question of the weekly trend hasn't changed yet and the day trend hasn't changed yet. It doesn't mean to say that those trends aren't turning. They're just not showing on the chart that they've turned. 4-hour trend is down, but that was a very impulsive move there. This could be coming back down here for a higher bottom to move up that way in the short term. If I was trading this pair myself, and I don't know what you're doing, with that monthly look, which looks rather suggestive of a failure up here, and see there's a daily swing low here, a minor one. Personally, if I was looking at this to trade, I would want to know if this can come back to here, to this area here. And then what happens in this area here? Does it fail there? It's a little bit overextended to the downside at the moment. I don't know whether you're looking to go long or short, because I don't know. Let me just see if you've answered me. So you're long CAD yen. All right. I mean, the weekly chart's up and the day chart's up. I don't know where you're long from, but you know, we don't have any. We've got a very minor top here for me on the day chart to down here. So I don't know where you're long from, but I don't know if that's turning to the downside from the monthly chart perspective. I know the weekly trend's up and the day trend's up. It really needs, if this is going to hold to any form of trend at the moment, this top here, which is 104.876, needs to hold. And as I'm talking, it's not below, it's below that level. See how we broke above here and it became support on that candle and then impulsively moved up. That's where all the support came from for the final upward move. So if we cannot hold here, we are probably moving lower. All right. That's how I would look at it. And Azu, you're asking me, you're holding a position in the euro pound 85.40. All right, so you're long at 85.40, stop 84.90. Do I think it's time to move the stop? So you were risking 50 pips. So you're long at 85.40. While you're up, what you're risking. So yes, in my mind, that's what I would do. If I'm up what I was risking, there's no point being at risk. Now, price might pull back and stop you out at break even, but that's my general philosophy. If I'm up what I'm risking, I go to break even. So that's my philosophy. So you can use my philosophy if you want, but you know, if I just as a simple method, whatever I risk, once I'm up that risk, I go to break even. All right. So you're up what you're risking. So what, you know, why stay at risk? Maybe price will pull back and stop you out, but that can happen. But at some point you have to decide what's your rule to take the risk out. So you just need a very simple rule of when do I take my risk out? My simple rule is when I'm up what I was risking, I go to break even. So in this example, you're giving me you're up what you're risking. So in my mind, I would go to break even, but you'll need to make the decision yourself. Annie, you're asking me, could I please have a look at the franc yen? And I might just get your question in a moment. And I got more about the more questions about the CAD yen. So you're long at 104.70. So pretty much where you're at now. Personally, I think this is that little top there is going to form a lower top on the day chart. And that's a lower bottom on the day chart. So you have a lower top, lower bottom on the day chart and below support here. That's not potentially holding at the moment. So if that's not holding, it's not going to be good for your trade. So, you know, I would say if you're wanting to hold it and you know, there's the potential for that 4-hour area here to be support at the 79% level with these lows here that could hold as support. You know, if price moves below that low there, I don't see a reason to stay long personally, because the day structure will be starting to turn down and the 4-hour structure will be turning down. So how much higher time frame structure change do you need to determine whether you should be long or short? Structure will be breaking to the downside. If we break below 104.37, structure is breaking to the downside. So is that suggestive that you're wrong? Okay. Annie, you want me to look at the franc yen? All right, I'm not sure where the all-time high is, but it looks like we might be at the all-time high with the data I've got. Clearly in an uptrend. Monthly chart there is a little bit overextended though. Weekly trend is up in an uptrend, very much overextended too. Just had 2 negative weeks, finishing on a positive week. So a very short-term dip. And if we take that top out, that day chart is going to be in a clear uptrend. So I'm seeing potentially it is, very high and overextended, but this day chart, back to day chart, it has traded above that high, so it has flipped the day chart into an uptrend. It is, from what I can see, just struggling at the moment at last week's high and last month's high too. So, I don't know what you're doing, but trends are all up, looking maybe for a pullback into the 62.79% area for a further move up potentially. I don't know what you're thinking yourself, but all trends look up at the moment. We're just testing last week's high. Everything looks north at the moment. May need a pullback in the short term. I'm not seeing any reason to be looking to the short side. I don't know which way you're looking. But that's a general trend assessment. If you're looking to the long side, I would monitor this upward move, which was pretty much last week's move up. Did we retrace back inside last week's move for a dip before further moving up would be my thought process. Thanks, Annie. Okay, thank you. All right, everybody, we're almost at the top of the hour, so I'm going to go wrap it up there. Tomorrow evening, we will be going through the topics of average true range and session opening times. And Azu, you're welcome. Thursday, more live market analysis, and we've also got the quick start webinar at 8 p.m. So that's what's coming up from me for the rest of the week. If you've got the time, look forward to seeing you tomorrow if you have the time, where I will discuss the average true range. That incorporates on my charts. I go to a 15-minute chart to go into these charts. This indicator here called today's projected high and low is all to do with the average true range. So that topic will be discussed. Plus, on my pivot point charts here with the MACD, I have these session opening times, which are significant reference points where the market has new trading sessions starting in different areas of the world, which can often lead to turning points. So I'll be discussing the importance of session opening times. And if you don't have my chart layouts and templates, you can get them. So you have the session opening times on your charts. So those two topics will be discussed tomorrow in tomorrow night's webinar. That's what's coming up from me. And I don't think there's any more questions coming in. I think I've got them all. So thanks very much, everybody. Lots of questions coming in. Of course, at the moment, some of those pairs are very overextended. I am being patient and waiting for a pullback. I don't like waiting. Of course, I would like to be just dropping onto my charts and seeing a perfect setup right as I drop on my charts, but trading is not always like that. I'm still monitoring the Aussie dollar. I am waiting now for the US news to surpass, but you can see 60 out of 5 is being clear support for the market at the moment. And I could have traded early in the day. Dollar yen, another pair I'm watching. Not breaking down below the lower yesterday, but it is getting down towards the 138 level. There's a week, so I'm watching 138 down a weekly support at 137.90 at the moment. Can that area be support? Or do we start to see a nice move up above the 138.30 level? This probably won't do too much before the news comes out. So I'm just waiting for the US news to pass, and then I'm just monitoring those two pairs at the moment. Okay, everybody, thanks very much. Look forward to seeing you next time.